right, we're going to start off this evening with Sophia. Um, and she's going to be sharing about how she and her family got to Japan. And before she does that, would you be willing to open with a word of prayer?
Sure, absolutely. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing us here together this evening for my friends, and thank you for your leading and guiding in each of our lives. I pray that we would be able to see your leading and guiding more clearly, especially for people who have a lot of decisions to make, a lot of choices. We ask that you would guide and lead in each of those decisions and choices. In Jesus' name, amen. Alrighty, yes. Well, thank you, Esther, for inviting me. I've been wanting to come on here more. Obviously, with the time difference, it's let's see, Friday morning at like 9 something a.m. So I'm generally, cooking, cleaning, laundry, whatever the farm and house has to do before Sabbath. But today I've cut out a little time with you all, so I'm really excited about that. Where to start in our story? That is, I don't know where to start. It could start, I don't know, probably generations ago, really. But I'll start like 2024, and the years before we were in Alabama on a farm. There we had 20 acres of our own, and the neighbors 20 that we were raising animals, having a farm. We were hosting so many people and traveling a lot that I can't remember which year it was. It might have been like 2024 or 2023. There was only like 4 weeks that we were at our home without visitors or traveling of the whole year. We either had people at our house, students who wanted to learn farming, mission work, or we were traveling and speaking at camp meetings, or who knows, helping people. But yeah, it was like 4 weeks out of the whole year. And those were not like a chunk of 4 weeks. It was like 2 days here, a day here, a week there, like that. And so we had no intention, no idea, no, yeah, anything that we could ever go foreign missions. Even though as a child, I've always wanted to go into foreign missionary work since, reading all the Eric B. Hare books and all the other mission stories I love. But it just never entered our mind until 2024 in the summer. My mom needed dental work, and I hadn't visited my grandparents here in Japan. My mom's Japanese, for those that don't know, and my grandparents lived in Japan. They still do. And so my mom needed dental work. I hadn't visited them for 8 years or so. So it was like, it might be time to go visit um, Eric B. Hare. I love those stories, yes. Might be time to go visit our grandparents. So my mom and I came to Japan 2024 in the summer, and I really saw the need of Japan. So few Christians. I mean, I kind of knew that, but like it wasn't very real. And when you're in the US, because I grew up in the US, it's like the foreign countries almost seem like they're on other planets, or like they're so distant. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about, but like, no, we're still on the same planet. We're actually not that hard to get to, uh, these other countries. And so, like, being here, like, I was in Japan, I was like, wow, this is so real. So I just wanted to give you a few stats. I know some people might get lost in statistics, but sometimes I like statistics. So the country of Japan is actually smaller in land size than the state of California. The state of California is larger in land size than the country of Japan. However, Japan has 3 times the population of California, if that makes sense. So it's very crowded here. Just the city of Tokyo, which is the world's largest city by land and population, is only 2/3 of the size. Like I think the Tokyo Center is like 2/3 of the size of like New York City, but has 2 times the population. So it's like piling New York City on top of New York City on smaller land. Yeah, it's like hard to imagine, I'm sure. Um, Only less than 1% here of the population identify as Christians, compared to the 68% or something in the United States. And so, yeah, it's like 1%, one out of every, less than 1% out of every 100 even identify as any Christian. That includes Catholics. That includes every Sunday Protestant. That includes, yes, all of those. Um, the depression is so strong here. Suicide is the number one cause of death in ages 10 to 30 years old. So that's like young people, or that's their number one cause of death. Also, number one cause of death in men 20 to 40 years old, and the number one cause of death in women 15 to 29 years old. So just hopelessness, helplessness, depression is so strong here. And I was seeing that more and more when I came in 2024 on a trip. It was just like a family vacation trip to see our family. But it was like, man, I wish I could come and like help these people. I wish I could live here and work here. But at the time, we were busy with our life in the US. Just one more statistic. The Adventists here, since we're comparing Japan with California right now, there are 560 churches, Adventist churches in California. 560, that's a lot. Here in Japan, we have 95, even though we have over 3 times the population. So, and these churches, I know California churches can be larger, but like I've been to some of the largest churches here, and maybe 100 people in attendance. Like that's the larger churches. Like all the ones that we go to around here, it's like it's good if it's 15 or 20 people. That's a solid church. So yes, in the U.S., there's 0.5% Adventist of the population. Here, it's 10th, less than 1/100th of a percent, something crazy small, 0.01%. So yes, I saw the needs so much, and I was like, well, I can't do anything about it now. But I'll just pray and see what happens. And I actually bought some Japanese textbooks. Because I was like, you know what? The first thing I can do from anywhere is learn the language, since I haven't studied that much. So I did. Bought the textbooks. I came home, and my dad's health, he had a health issue in his jaw that needed surgery, and his health started going down. And so that kind of put a break on the progress we had in Alabama and our whole mission and project there. And so he was looking for medical help, and he could not find medical help in the US, which is really strange because, in the US, we think we're all advanced in about everything, but not advanced in the simple techniques of restorative surgery. They want to do very complicated surgeries that cost a lot of money. So he found some doctors. He was looking all over the place, like literally all the medical journals. He knows how to read all that kind of stuff. So, which I get lost in. But anyway, he started reading those, and he found one group of surgeons that did a simple approach to his type of rare condition. And those just happened to be in Japan, out of all places. And so it was like, okay, he'll come to Japan and get the surgery done. That was November 2025. We were thinking about this. No, 2024. November 2024. So literally he needed a visa, so we put in the application for, you have to have a prerequisite paperwork to get the visa. So we put in the application for that. That's supposed to take 3 months. Then you apply for the visa, right? But he applied for his prerequisite paperwork, and like 2 weeks later, he got the visa. Without even applying for the visa, he got the visa. So then my parents just decided to come here by themselves. So we stayed with my grandmother. And we thought, well, it might be like 6 weeks or 2 months. He'll have the surgery and come home. Well, it didn't turn out like that. It kept dragging out longer and longer. But even as it was getting longer, we still knew that this was the route we wanted to take with his medical procedure. It just didn't take as little time as we thought it might. So anyway, I was like, okay, this is going to take longer. So us kids came to Japan. This is last year in February. And we came here and we saw the need even more, mingling with the people. Um, it was like, wow, this is a very needy place. But then my dad had a health downturn even farther. And so we couldn't really think about very much. We were just trying to help care for his health. And he rebounded through some amazing, simple things that we were able to do at home. If you want to hear more about that, you can reach out to me personally. I can't tell all the stories, there's just too many stories. But during that time, we went to a flea market, actually, kind of thing. It was kind of like, imagine a farmer's market for just stuff. So it's like a temporary setup. Anyway, I went there and there was a girl selling dried sweet potatoes, which probably sounds really weird, but they're actually really good. Anyway, her name was Misaki, and she was like the only young person in the whole place. Otherwise, it's a whole bunch of like grandpas selling their old rusty tools and whatever. Um, she's like the only young person. So then I wanted to talk to her, but I was so bad at Japanese, and so I asked my mom to help me talk to her, like translate. And I got her number, and we actually still text. So for some reason, this place, like friendships are hard to build. And so just like those little friends that we can make were such a huge blessing, because it was like people are actually still open. People are, we can still talk to them and build friendships. So like, it's been over a year and we still text very often. So that's been really nice. And I get to practice my Japanese with her. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. My dad's health eventually rebounded and he was able to get surgery. But by this time, we've been here like 6 months and we saw the need so great. It's like, did all this come about to bring us to Japan, or are we to return to Alabama? And it was a hard thing to decide because we had such a life going in Alabama. We had so many invested years and time and work. I know all of you who work on farms can understand that you put a lot into your animals, your pastures, your gardens, your fruit trees. Like, that's a lot of work, let alone all the other stuff. And the connections we were planting at church. It's like, yeah, those are all great missionary, like evangelistic. We like trying to reach the community there. But did all this happen to bring us here, of all places? Not very many people can come here to Japan because the visa issues. It's hard to enter for it's easy to enter for like 3 months. But then after that, you have to have a legitimate visa. But since my mom's a national, she never gave that up to go to the US. And all of us kids are nationals, meaning we don't, we're citizens here. My dad was the only one who needed a visa, but since he's married to my mom, he gets the relation visa. So like, could this have been to bring us here? Do we stay or do we go home? And so we asked our family, like, did God bring us here, or was it one of us who brought us here? And everyone was sure God did bring us here. And so we're like, you know what? We'll knock on the doors. If they are closed, we won't walk through. We won't break down the doors, but we'll knock. So we started looking at houses, and houses are so hard to find. I would love to show you some pictures sometime, but they're so crammed together. There's no land. We know we can't live in the city. Um, Japan has been referred to as the graveyard of missionaries because of just the prevailing culture and busyness that can swallow someone up in this place. It's like it's hard to keep your own independence and like your own focus and drive. Um, and so we know we couldn't live in the cities. There's hard to find anything in the countries. Even then, we're not rich, so like, how would we afford anything anyway? A whole bunch of questions. And so we started looking around. We found this area in the mountains that had some villages. So we're like, we'll look there. So we found 3 places to look at. And we looked at the first one, very beautiful, in the mountains. It had 1 acre, which is absolutely huge here. Um, And we're like, that's really nice. We looked at the next one and it was not so nice. The house was falling in. There was vines growing in the house. It stank. And the third one was similar. Very not great. Um, but so we're like, the first one was really interesting. We want to pursue that one more if we can. And so the people were like, okay, so just think about it 2 weeks. We're like, 2 weeks? We already like it. We want to move forward. They're like, no, you have to think about it 2 weeks because we don't want any flippy floppy people coming to this place. We're like, okay. So we had to wait our 2 weeks. We still wanted it after 2 weeks. And so they're like, okay, so it comes with agricultural land, which means you'll need to be approved to buy agricultural land. We're like, what does that mean? Well, you'll need to prove that you have experience and capability to care for it. So we had to do this whole interview and paperwork and stuff. And just because we had some experience in the US, they approved our purchase of agricultural land, which is a total miracle because we know people, even Japanese people here, who want to buy land and they can't. They're rejected because they don't have enough quote unquote experience to care for it. So we were able to buy land. My dad needed a driver's license. And so God miraculously provided a driver's license because it is really hard to get here. Roads are narrow, too many people on the roads. They say foreigners cause more accidents than Japanese, so they don't want to give driver's license to foreigners. And so we know people who've taken the test 8 times before they've passed, 3 months between each test. My dad was able to get it on the second test. So we were so grateful for that. And so every roadblock was almost falling down before we even got there, it felt like. And so it was just so amazing to watch each of these roadblocks fall down in front of us. Homeschooling is not allowed here in Japan. However, we have a little brother, 9 years old, who we need to homeschool. We would not have sent him to any of the schools here. So if we weren't able to homeschool, we were all gonna have to go back to the States. However, they've made an exception for us. They were like, you know what? We don't have any provision in the law for homeschooling. There's no procedures that we can go through to help you with that. But we'll just enroll him in the school on paper. But that's it. You guys do what you want, homeschool like you've been doing, and you're good. So that was with our city's education board we met with. And so everything was falling down in front of us. Every single thing. So it was hard to deny. So you were like, you know what? We will continue to walk through these doors. I know I'm just about out of time, and there's so many more things, so I'll have to save it till next week. But we still needed a way to afford this house because obviously we're not wealthy people. So my sister and I, we took a trip back to the US to our home, and it was our responsibility or our charge, our job to go home and sell some vehicles that we had, my dad's vehicles, so we could afford the purchase of this house. Now, this house was a very low cost at around $12,000 for the house and an acre. Yes, it was just a miracle. $12,000. That's what we needed to come up with. But obviously, we didn't have that just sitting ready. So my sister and I went home, and I don't know if you all have sold cars, but I'm not a car salesman. So it's not something I do every day. So I was obviously a little nervous, and we had 1 week to do it, to list it, to find a buyer, and to sell it. I was like, man. So we were trying so hard. This guy kept being interested, dropping out, interested, dropping out. All these different people, interested, dropping out. It was literally the last day we were at our house. And we had to leave the next morning at 8 a.m. It was 4 p.m. this day. We were supposed to leave 8 a.m. tomorrow. And I was on the phone with my dad. I was like, everybody we've tried to get to buy this car keeps falling through. They just won't show up, or they stop texting or whatever. And it's 4 p.m. We gotta leave tomorrow. I just think we're gonna have to find a different way to do this because I don't know. He was like, has there not been one other person to be interested? Not one? I was like, I think maybe one guy. Like he texted a long time ago, and I don't think we ever got back to him. Like maybe even a year ago, because we had this car for sale on and off. Like maybe even a year ago it was or something. He was like, call him. I was like, okay. Like he might not even know who I am. So I was like, okay. So I hung up. I called this guy. So I have this car, it's like it's an old antique, and we want to sell it. The thing is, it's like 4 p.m. and we got to sell it like today because we're leaving tomorrow out of the country. And he's like, okay, yeah. Um, what was the car? And so I explained, and then the phone hung up, like it broke up. I was like, oh no. Like, did he do that? Did I do that? I couldn't tell. He didn't seem super interested at first. He was just like, oh, okay. What was, just kind of asking questions. I was like, should I call him back? So I ended up calling him back. And he was like, you know what? I think I've decided I want the car. I was like, okay, we got it. Today's the last day. He's like, I know I'm 2 hours or 3 hours away. I was like, oh dear, 2 hours away. And it's already like after 4. We got to sell it. And my uncle's with us. He came to help us and he was like, you know what? We don't want anyone coming like after 6 or 7 because, car buyers late at night after sunset, you girls, like you need to just take people during the day. I was like, okay. So I was like, okay, well, if you can do that, you can come and have it. The car will be yours. And I was hoping, like, please don't negotiate with the price because we need the full thing. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. Anyway, he comes and they were just the perfect people to work with. It was like 8 p.m., I think, when they pulled in. But everything went so smoothly. They had the perfect equipment to pull up the car because the car didn't run. It was, but they had the perfect equipment to get it loaded, and they bought it for the full price. They pulled out by like 8:30 that night. We had everything we needed to buy this house. They had the car, and we were all just sitting in awe. We're like, just 4 hours ago, we had no clue who could buy this car. Just 4 hours later, the car is gone. We have the money. And it was a smooth, perfect transaction. It was just so amazing. Um, Obviously, there are tons of other stories, but I think I am totally out of time or run over my time. And so I'll have to continue next week on, yeah, how things have been on this side now that we've purchased and been here for a little while. So, yeah, I will end there. If someone has a quick question or two, uh, please feel free to ask. But if not, you can also message me personally. I'm on the chat.
I guess I have one question.
Yeah.
What are you what did you end up doing with the land in Alabama? Is somebody staying there
Good.
for you and keeping it up?
It hasn't, no one's been staying there for us for the last like a year and a half. But just now, my uncle's staying there. Like this past week, he actually got there and he's thinking about staying there a little longer, maybe even more long term. So, yeah.
Wonderful.
So, hopefully, all that work that we did. Yeah.
Anyone else? Any more questions for Sophia?
Hopefully, next
Thank
week
you.
I won't take. Yeah. So then we can actually talk about Japan and anything else about that also. So many stories. I could like
Yes.
keep going.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Because I know that yeah, a lot of us don't think of Japan as a mission field, but it is a very big mission field as you've been sharing. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.